to play. If you hear she ballin', I need a little runaway. Lauren coming home for carnival, I need a little runaway. This woman not bad, she party bag, I need a little runaway. She tell all she friend and family, I need a little runaway. If you see Lauren, everywhere she go, what she whine and rollin'. Every video that in she phone, is she whine and rollin'. All over the road, what she whine and rollin'. When the rhythm hits
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Rise and shine. Let's get ready to take on the day. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, today on WEFM 99.9, 23 minutes moving away from 7 o'clock in the morning time. It's now time for our fourth segment right here on WEFM 99.9. Mr. Good morning to Roleza and good morning to Nicole, who is back with us today. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are y'all?
We good.
What about you?
Oh my gosh. I real good. I am super.
Okay. So you want to let us in
on? Oh gosh, just everything, you know, I'm always doing something crazy, right? But no, things are okay. This morning I was reassuring people and asking people to stop watching too much news and stop letting too many things get into our psyche because it's not healthy. So, I'm always going to be that person challenging people to manage their mental health, their well-being, their safety. So, yeah, that's what I'm up to this morning, actually. And I just finished frying some plantain and making some saltfish.
Plantain, eh?
No. And some nice two saltfish to go with it. So, that's breakfast. Breakfast of champions.
Slightly burnt is okay. Okay? Right?
Slightly burnt.
No bun.
Well, then fry it yourself. Maka.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Maka and I had an earlier discussion about me saying that I like my bread and cake slightly burnt. But he likes his bread white.
Oh,
bread
white.
and cakes. Bread and cakes slightly burnt.
Oh, you know what I love slightly burnt? Pone? What y'all call it? The cassava. I don't know what y'all call it, but like when you bake a cassava, it's a sweet cassava pie with like raisins and spices and stuff in it. So we call it pone.
Mm-hmm.
But I love when the ends, whenever I go anywhere and I see pone, or if I make it, the end is mine because it has a nice crisp kind of crunch and burn to the end of it. Give me that part. And when it's a sweet bread, give me the end.
Yeah. I know sometimes bakers be like, everybody just want the end. All I have to do is sell bay ends because that's what people want. Yeah. So, all right. So we're happy to know that everything is okay with you. All right.
Everything is fine.
All right. Let me just say good morning there to Oswald, who just showed us there. All right. So for the persons who are listening to us in Radio Land, whether you are on the roadways, whether you are at home, whether you are traversing the seas, it looks like it's in the mountain, it's going to rain. Wherever it is that you are listening to us from, good morning. And for those of you who are on the live as well, remember we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. So good morning to everybody. All right.
Good morning, far and wide, especially diaspora.
Yes. All right. So anything before we go in?
No, go
all right. So let's head in, right? So of late, we have been talking a lot about youth and the young people and what they're up to and what they're getting themselves involved in, right? And we have another story that came out yesterday on One News. And this one is school violence persists as student beaten over his own money. All right, so a student was beaten and left bloodied at a secondary school in Kingston, allegedly over his own money, raising concerns over the lack of robust action against school violence in the nation's schools. Reports indicate that the victim's money fell from his pockets, after which another male student picked it up. The victim asked the other student to return the money he had picked up, but the request was refused. The owner of the money then relented, telling the other student to spend some of it and return the change. However, the victim approached to collect the change, and the perpetrator refused. He then struck the victim in the face with a drum. Teachers reportedly tried to restrain the perpetrator, to no great avail. The victim required hospital treatment for a laceration, which necessitated several stitches. He also suffers from a medical condition that renders head trauma particularly problematic, sometimes requiring evacuation from the country for specialized care. All right? So this is something that has happened. When it happened is yesterday? Yesterday. All right? At least the story broke yesterday.
You know, some people are really, really cool, eh?
Cold, bold face.
You can imagine my money drop out of my pocket. You pick it up and you don't want to give it back to me.
And
So
not
you
just that, you've also gotten to a point where the person who the money belonged to said, all right, you could spend some of it to give back the change.
Right. And you still don't want to give back the change.
And you still don't give back the change.
That is cool.
Right?
So
and
there's an innate...
Go ahead, Nicole.
There's an innate challenge inside of there around entitlement. And when it starts to happen from so young, we know what we're going to have to deal with. And it is unfortunate because we see it in society. And this is really just a mirror. Students and schools are a mirror of our social landscape. So that fact that they are entitled enough to want to bully that poor child, and nobody has come to their aid, and it comes to blows and particularly to physical violence and damage, something is wrong. And that's, I mean, it's happening here. It's happening in most Caribbean schools. You sometimes don't hear it. It's not as extreme. It's terrible here. But we need to understand that it's a symptom. It's a symptom of a bigger problem.
Right. And not just that as well. Remember, teachers also try to step in to try to restrain this child. So even teachers could not get this child under control, the student under control, right? And to me, that is what is extremely frightening, right? The lack
who do we blame now? We blame the teacher, the parents?
Right. So one of the things that many persons might be asking is, what type of parenting does this child receive, right? Now, I know that, and I don't see Maka facial expression already, because I know. Go ahead. You say it. Say it.
No, we trying to bash parents, but sometimes we can't always bash parents because every child have mind of their own. So we can't always bash parents. Parents send the children to school and they don't know what they get into.
Right. And I agree with you with that, right? Because for all we know, this particular child might come from a decent home where they are being brought up properly, but this child just means to deviate, right? This child just means to do what it is that they want to do. But what we've seen happening, and we're going to play 2 clips in relation to this, because what seems to be happening is that parents are not as involved as they should be, right? We're going to play an excerpt from 2 different cop chat sessions that we had. We had one yesterday where the question was posed to the officers. Given their years of experience in policing, what have they noticed to be the difference or the change in terms of what they're seeing coming out, particularly from young people? All right, so we're going to hear first from Sergeant Mali.
Back to the question you asked a while ago with regards to crime before. I hope I'm not going to hurt anybody's feelings by saying this, but one of the major issues is poor parenting. Back then to now is different. And what is happening now, most of these youngsters out of fun because of poor parenting. And that is exactly what's happening. Because our parents were very strict back then. I grew up with my granny and very strict. Now, you someone being let us straight. It's so sad. Sad.
Okay. All right, so that was the point of view of Sergeant Mali Lewis in terms of his observation of some of the challenges that they're facing as police officers and the reason why being parenting. But 2 weeks before, we had another session with teachers, with 2 principals, and they were asked a question with regards to bullying in schools, and this was the response.
In terms of the bullying, yes. it is a problem. Some students are afraid. They're afraid of the persons who are bullying them, and so they do what they are told, which is forcing them into doing bad things. So that yes is also a problem. In terms of the parents, and this is what I was saying, we get resistance because some parents do not want to accept that this is what the children or the child is doing. All right. For instance, there's always rules. There's always rules. Every organization.
All right, so I'm not sure if persons on the stream and Radio Land were hearing it, but we weren't hearing, so we stopped it just in case. But that was the something wrong with this. All right. So what was? Oh, you heard it. Okay. All right. So those were the views expressed of Casero Cumberbatch, who is the principal of the West St. George Secondary School. In essence, what he was saying is that bullying in schools, whenever it is that they try to get it under control in terms of bringing parents into the picture, getting parents involved, sometimes the parents don't take it as seriously, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes they act as though they would ask something as a question like, that's it or that's all? Meaning to them, it's something that is not important. It's trivial, it's inconsequential. But whenever it is that the schools have these problems, what it is that you tend to find is that parents are not doing their role. They're not taking up their responsibility. And as a result, the schools have the problems, and now society on a whole would end up with the problem.
See, as I mentioned, parents could only do as much as they could do. Sending your child to school, you talk to your child before you leave home, blah, blah, blah. And when the child go to school and she get him problem, we blame the parent, but the parents could just do as much as they could do.
But then, right, Maka. So we recognize that in some cases, there are some parents who are doing their best, but we also have to recognize that there is a lot of them also not doing anything at all.
Fair enough, but some of these kids have a mind of their own.
Maka, I want to jump in here, right? Sorry about that. But while children have a mind of their own, you are anticipating what happens in the standard West Indian household. In some households, there are also some situations where the parent is leaving the child to fend for themselves, or the child is the parent. There are instances.
Let me take this call. Hello, good morning.
Remember the time, Maka?
Maka, I kind of agree and disagree with this thing. As you're saying, parents can only do what they can do. So we're going to leave up to the teachers, the society. It starts from home. They tell you manners and behavior begins at home and abroad. That will make up with it. I'm 40 years old. And as the sergeant, the clip from the crowd chat. You're finding parents going in school to fight teachers. That one. Other students looking. Parents then turning up for parents meetings. They can't know how their child doing. Who they bullying, what they doing in the class. At home, you had them doing nothing. When they come from school, they go on the phone or they go on a road. Come back home. Dinner, something talk to them, they shoot up the teeth. Remember, we couldn't do them thing,
Correct.
Yeah, but there are some parents who do their part as well.
Yes, but do you think the greater majority doing their part, Maka, if we're having all these problems in schools?
I don't know.
I just referencing from what you said. Parents can only do what they could do. But at the end of the day, they can't give up. They're not supposed to give up because
I agree.
If you can only do what you could do, basically, that we're going to be near home, we can only do it because they have a mind of their own. So we're going to leave them up to.
And you don't want for it to get to a stage where the involvement comes from police. It shouldn't get to that stage.
No, Roleza, in my time growing up, it's our neighbor and our parents have a disagreement. We can't pass our neighbor straight.
Yeah, but this is different times now, eh?
But who caused the different times, Maka?
Manners and morals are always the same. Morals never change.
Yeah, but you ain't getting this time around. These kids now these days, nah.
But then Maka who making the children, who raising children. Okay, Carla, I'm very sorry. I appreciate the contribution that you're making, but we definitely have to head on out as we already over time for traffic talk. All right. But thank you very much. And we're going to have to pick this up with Maka in particular afterwards. So let's head straight into today's traffic talk.
Nothing else sounds as good as